us as we kick off your Super Bowl Sunday.
If you're going to talk the talk, you got to walk the walk.
They're back. And yes, they're back too.
All of the other thing is the foam. The game is the beer.
The scramble for the title is just 8 hours away. And we're ready for all the big hits, all the great catches, all the big plays. It's time to rise to the occasion, like this three-time champion.
I am a player without Michael.
Time's running out. Make your picks now.
They have tried 3 times, but they have never done it. But this year, they are going to done it. Buffalo Cowboys. I vote for them.
Hey, don't go anywhere. We won't let you down. It's all coming up next.
Sports Weekly is presented by Delta Airlines.
Good morning. I'm Dick Schaap at Super Bowl headquarters, the Hyatt Regency Hotel in downtown Atlanta, and welcome to Sunday Sports Day, January 30th, 1994. 2 hours of news, views, reviews, and previews, highlights and sidelights, cheers and jeers. The Buffalo Bills will set an NFL record by playing in their 4th straight Super Bowl today. They hope they will not set an NFL record by losing their 4th straight Super Bowl today. History and the odds are allied against them. Robin Roberts, after a quick trip to Lilyhammer, is back in Bristol, ready to guide us through our opening hour, Sports Weekly. Robin, is there any way the Buffalo Bills can overcome the odds and their own history?
Well, all things considered, I'm inclined to say no, Dick. Please don't tell Chris Berman that I said that. And as you mentioned, I was in Lilyhammer this week, and I don't know if it was a good or bad thing that I missed all the Super Bowl hype this week. It was kind of nice to come back 48 hours before kickoff.
Well, we bottled some of the hype, and we're going to ship it up to you. You'll have it in a day or so.
Okay, Dick. I know you were my eyes there in Atlanta, having a good time. We'll be heading back to Atlanta throughout our Sunday Sports Day for all the last-minute news concerning Super Bowl 28. Kickoff just a little more than 8 hours away. And, of course, Boomer, TJ, Joey T, and Mort are in Atlanta getting ready for a special 90-minute NFL game day, which begins at high noon. Now, though, to last night's action in the NBA. The matchup that received the most attention Saturday night featured the Knicks and the Sonics. Seattle has the best record in the league, and the Sonics had lost only 2 of their 20 home games so far this season. And Pat Riley had his troops ready. The Sonics would start strong, though. Ricky Pierce gets it up to Gary Payton, and then the between-the-legs save, yes, to Pierce. Sonics by 7 at the half. Third quarter belonged to New York. 21-3 run, including that three-pointer from John Starks. The Knicks would outscore the Sonics 32-13 in the quarter. Ewing with the reverse. The Knicks end the dominating third in style. Greg Anthony, the buzzer beater. The Knicks cruise from there, winning 106-92. So the Knicks hand the Sonics just their 3rd home loss of the season. Patrick Ewing finished with 21 points and 18 rebounds. Anthony Mason added 17. The Knicks have won 3 straight and 9 of their last 11. The Nets also out west visiting the Warriors. Close game throughout. On the break, Avery Johnson, the dish to Chris Mullen. The reverse, he had only 11. Another good game for Latrell Sprewell. Billy Owens to Sprewell, the alley-oop. He had 26. Warriors up by 3 in the third. The Nets rally. P.J. Brown, the jumper. He had 12 points, 17 rebounds. Nets go up by 3. Then, the kid, Kenny Anderson, blows his way with the reverse lay-in. Nets win 120-106. Kenny Anderson with 24. Derek Coleman, another 19 and 12 boards. It's the second time in 8 days that the Nets have beaten the Warriors. The Pistons and the Nuggets went at it last night. Who says the Pistons don't play rough anymore? Cadillac Anderson going up against Dikembe Mutombo. Good game for Joe Dumars with the scoop and the fall. Nuggets begin pulling away in the 4th. LaFonso Ellis, the jam over David Wood. Super game for Brian Stiff. The tough shot. Gets it off glass. He was 8 of 11 for 23. Nuggets win 128-110. The Pistons have lost 5 in a row and 19 of their last 20. Denver is now 15-6 at McNichols Arena, and they've won 4 straight. Last night on the ice, the New Jersey Devils attempted to complete a successful road trip when they visited Vancouver, and the Canucks wanted to avoid falling below 500 for just the 2nd time this season. Canucks down 1-0. Pavel Bure takes care of that. Up, over, and through the Devils defense to tie the score at 1. Devils goalie Chris Thierry wants a better look at this one. Bure, the spin on Scott Niedermeyer, and he undresses Scott Stevens before putting the deke on Terreri. Bure not done. Watch the top shelf. His second of the game. Canucks go on to win by a final of 6-3. The Devils' 4-game unbeaten streak comes to an end. The Canucks extend their home unbeaten streak over New Jersey to 10 games. Elsewhere, Luc Robitaille had a goal and 2 assists, and Kelly Hrudey stopped 43 shots as the Kings snapped a 5-game winless streak by defeating the Ducks 5-1. To college hoops. Instead of winning one for the Gipper, UConn wanted to win one for Calhoun. Jim Calhoun, the Huskies head coach, has been hospitalized with pneumonia and was unable to make the trip last night to Pittsburgh. They're thinking about Calhoun, a speedy recovery. Howie Dickerman, 12-year assistant, takes over the coaching ranks in the first half. Ron Sheffer with the steal. Danielle Marshall, who jams it. He had 12 points at that point. Not to be outdone, the pass to Eric Mobley, who jams it 2. He had 13. UConn up by 6, though, at the half. They exploded in the second half. Travis Knight with a block, the pass to Danielle. Gives it to Kevin Ollie, and he knows where he's going to go back to. 86-67 is the final. Danielle Marshall with 25 points, a 10th straight win for the Huskies. They're off to their best start in school history, 18-1, and they improved to a perfect 8-0 in the Big East. Staying in the Big East, Villanova and Syracuse. First half for Syracuse. Lawrence Moten hits the 3 at 23. Steve Lapis tries to rally his Villanova troops late in the first. Adrian Autry and Moten combine on the steal from Kerry Kittles. Moten lays it in. Orange on a 21-2 run. They led 42-20 at the half, go on to win by a final of 87-68. Syracuse sweeps the season series from Nova and improves to 13-3 overall, 6-3 in league play. Elsewhere, in a great Midwest Conference game, despite shooting less than 33% from the field for the game, Marquette beat Memphis State for the second time this month. The Tigers shot less than 26% from the field. Out west, Khalid Reeves and Damon Stoudemire combined for 51 points to lead Arizona to a convincing win over Oregon State. The Wildcats are now 5-2 in the Pac-10. Turning our attention to the pro tennis scene down under at the Australian Open, an All-American men's final between top seed Pete Sampras and Todd Martin, the tournament's 9th seed. For Martin, it was his first Grand Slam final, already the 5th for Sampras, as he attempted to claim his 3rd consecutive Grand Slam championship down under in Australia. Todd Martin, first time advancing past a Grand Slam quarterfinal. In the first set, Sampras serving. Oh, gorgeous forehand cross-court return winner from Martin. Set point for Sampras. Wins the first set 7-4 in the tiebreak. He will win the second 6-4, match point in the third. Sampras, the forehand winner, he wins 7-6, 6-4, 6-4. Sampras is the first man to win 3 consecutive Grand Slam tournaments since Rod Laver, a player Sampras admires greatly, won the Grand Slam in 1969. Sampras came up with 13 aces last night. At the tender age of 22 years, 5 months, Sampras has already won 4 of the 5 Grand Slam finals in which he has appeared, slightly ahead of what American tennis greats John McEnroe and Jimmy Connors accomplished at that age. There are still 2 more Grand Slam events before Sampras turns 23 in August. A stunning upset in the boxing ring last night in Las Vegas as Julio Cesar Chavez put his WBC super lightweight title on the line against who? Frankie Randall. Chavez nails Frankie Randall with a low blow. The ref takes away a point from the champ. And the 11th round in the middle of the ring, and Randall unleashes a right-hand counter that knocks down Chavez for the first time in his career. The surgeon, Frankie Randall, wins the WBC super lightweight on the split decision. So it's the first loss of Chavez's 15-year boxing career. He's held the title since 69, or rather I should say 89. Randall, who returned to boxing in 91 following a 2-year layoff, improved to 49-2-1. We're certainly glad you decided to start your Super Bowl Sunday with us in just a bit. Dick Schaap will rejoin us live from Atlanta with the week's news surrounding the big game. Next, Some startling admissions from Tanya Harding this week concerning what she knew and when she knew it. We'll have the latest on her efforts to compete in Lillehammer. And we'll also check out the rest of the action in the NBA and NHL, including the Admiral trying to ground the high-flying Hawks.
Sports Weekly is presented by Delta Airlines. You'll love the way we fly.
Elsewhere on Saturday, Duke was out to continue its recent domination of ACC foe Maryland. While in the NBA, Indiana wanted to end the Rockets' domination. The Pacers hadn't beaten them at Houston since March of 1979. It was Miller time in Houston. Reggie Miller pours in 11 first-quarter points, 21 in all. Super Mario Elie tried to keep Houston in it, but the Rockets never got off the ground. 19 Houston turnovers led to 28 Pacers points. Pacers win 119 to 108. To Mr. Robinson's neighborhood, David Robinson, 20 points in the first quarter. Dale Ellis gets the pass, hits the three. He had a career-high 28. A shot from the suburbs. Kevin Willis brings the Hawks to within 8 at the half. But David robs Adam Keefe to Vinny Del Negro to Willie Anderson. The block. But Del Negro is there. Got to hand it to number 50. Spurs win it 100 to 87. Don't look now, David. Another Mr. Robinson developing a neighborhood. That's Glenn Robinson of Purdue. He can do it on both sides, offense and defense. The tap to Gonzo Martin. Purdue up by 4. Robinson with 27 points, 12 rebounds. But Marshawn Leonard hits the three, pulls to within 1. The plan, will it work? Porter Roberts scores. Purdue did it, 75 to 72. Coach K looking to KO Maryland again. Cherokee Parks lurking in the interior. The jam for 2 of his 11. The Terps were tough. Joe Smith gets the hoop and the foul. Duke up only by 4 at the half. Then Antonio Lang bangs away. 5 of Duke's 12 blocks. Parks puts it away. Duke wins. Second period, Bill Berg beats Ken Reggett. That ties it at 3-all. Then down 4-3 Penn saying, where's the puck? Where's the puck? Ron Francis finds it. Pat Burns not happy with a 4-all tie, Pittsburgh and Toronto. Here are the rest of Saturday's scores. By 6 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, the U.S. Olympic Committee must submit a roster to the Lillehammer Olympic Organizing Committee. On the list are figure skaters Tanya Harding, Nancy Kerrigan, and the 2 alternates, Michelle Kwan and Nicole Bobeck. Harding's place on the team seemed in jeopardy this week as new developments surfaced concerning the attack on Kerrigan. Mark Schwartz has the details.
Speculation about Tanya Harding's involvement in the attack on Nancy Kerrigan increased on Monday when the Oregonian newspaper reported that authorities had enough evidence to arrest Harding. But in a written statement, the 2-time national champion maintained that she was not involved in any way in the assault. Authorities would not comment.
We've never said that she's a suspect or she's not. I mean, people are presumed innocent until they're charged, and I'm under the impression that the press bar guidelines in this state ought to prevent some of the type of stuff that's going on.
Jeff Gillooly met with authorities on Wednesday and Thursday, reportedly in hopes of a plea bargain for providing information against Harding.
It can be in his interest to negotiate in earnest with the prosecution in an attempt to, shall we say, cut his losses.
How much could he cut his losses, though?
All the way down to no jail at all.
While Gillooly met with authorities, Harding met with the media, this time with a revised story.
I had no prior knowledge of the planned assault on Nancy Kerrigan. I am responsible, however, for failing to report things I learned about the assault when I returned home from nationals. Many of you will be unable to forgive me for that. It will be difficult to forgive myself. although my lawyers tell me that my failure to immediately report this information is not a crime. I know I have let you down, but I have also let myself down. Despite my mistakes and my rough edges, I have done nothing to violate the standards and excellence of sportsmanship that are expected in an Olympic athlete. I have devoted my entire life to one objective: winning an Olympic gold medal for my country. This is my last chance.
Shortly after Harding's statement, the United States Olympic Committee issued its own, saying it is deeply concerned with statements made today by Tonya Harding relative to her stated knowledge of the attack on Nancy Kerrigan at the national championships. The United States Olympic Committee is prepared under constitutional procedures to initiate any action deemed appropriate relative to the conduct of any athlete entered in the games. The United States Figure Skating Association has organized a special 5-person panel to determine whether Harding may have violated the association's code of ethics.
What we're dealing with is the membership in the United States Figure Skating Association by Tonya Harding and the obligations and the rights that go with that.
While the Multnomah County Grand Jury continues to listen to testimony, Harding continues preparation for the Olympics. The jury's deadline for issuing indictments has been extended to February 18th. In Portland, I'm Mark Schwartz for Sunday Sports Day.
We'll have more on the legal issues surrounding Harding later in the morning. The clock is ticking toward the kickoff of Super Bowl 28. The players are ready, so are the fans, and so is Dick Schaff. He'll join us live from Atlanta in just a few minutes. Teams have barely been hanging on to the top spot in college hoops. Could the Bruins break that streak? Find out next. Is in mourning today as one of their premier athletes was killed on Saturday in a tragic skiing accident. Two-time world champion Eureka Meyer died after breaking her neck during a crash at a Women's World Cup downhill in Germany. I should warn you that the footage of her accident is graphic. Meyer was traveling about 60 miles per hour when she lost control of her right ski about 2/3 of the way down the course. She crashed headfirst into a ditch and lost her helmet. She was airlifted to a local hospital where she died 2.5 hours later. Meyer, who was 26 years old, was the mother of a 4-year-old daughter. Super Bowl week is filled with hype and hoopla, and the game itself has managed to leave us with some lasting memories. This week in college hoops, we'll continue this theme of Super Bowl melodrama. Linda Cohn has a week that was sort of super.
The Super Bowl is an American event filled with history and mystique. In Super Bowl VII, it was a Miami Dolphin team that completed an undefeated season with a Super Bowl win over the Redskins. Number 1 UCLA is halfway there, but Thursday's win did not come without a struggle. Up by 13 in the second half, the Bruins allowed the Cardinal to come back. A Tyus Edney foul on Deion Cross on a 3-point try cut the UCLA lead to only 2 with 22 seconds left. But Edney redeemed himself by nailing 2 crucial free throws, enabling UCLA to escape with a 69-65 win. Super Bowl 20 was remembered for a ferocious Bears defense that mauled the Patriots 46-10. UConn and its surprising 6th ranking in the country did a defensive job against Villanova Wednesday, holding the Cats to 40% shooting. The Huskies romped in a 91-67 thrashing. Someone who felt like everyone was on his back was Florida State's Bobby Sura. Against North Carolina on Wednesday, Sura shot a miserable 20% from the field on 6 for 30 shooting. Needless to say, his Seminoles fell to number 4 North Carolina 90-77. Super Bowl 23 saw one of the great endings in Super Bowl history as Joe Montana drove the Niners to its winning TD with under a minute left. 2 games on Wednesday also saw some dramatic endings. Notre Dame's Monty Williams' 34 points helped give the Irish a late 3-point lead. But with the game tied at 72, Marty Clark followed up this Grant Hill miss with 3 seconds to go to give Duke the 2-point win. And number 3 Kansas went into overtime against Bryant Reeves in Oklahoma State. In OT, with the Cowboys up by 2, Steve Woodbury nails this 3 with 1.5 seconds left, helping Kansas pull out the 1-point victory. Super Bowl III saw Joe Namath orchestrate one of the greatest upsets in sports history. Two major upsets also occurred this week. Wednesday, unranked NC State defeated 21st-ranked Georgia Tech 84-78. And on Thursday, a hot-shooting Penn State team down number 7 Purdue 71-68.
It's just about time to travel south. Dick will join us live from Atlanta with more on some old nightmares coming back to haunt Leon Lett.
Well, Citibank Visa provides so many services.
Time there in Atlanta, so let's go there now. Dick joins us live with some reflections on a tough week for the Cowboys' Leon Lett. Dick?
Thank you, Robin. Nobody asked Leon Lett, when did you stop beating your wife? But the questions weren't much gentler than Leon faced this week. As Tom Jackson reports, almost everybody wanted to talk about the two most embarrassing moments in Lett's life. Everybody except Leon.
8:38 a.m. Media Day is only 8 minutes old, and Leon Lett is already sweating.
Have you ever resented Beebe for making that play? That put you in such a bad light? You know, he speaks so kindly of you, I swear. How do you speak to him?
No, I don't even want to talk about it.
8:39 a.m. 9 minutes into Media Day, and Leon Lett decides he's had enough.
Leon Lett, I don't know whether you know this, he just left Media Day.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
Everybody needs to give the guy a break.
If he don't want to speak, don't force him to speak. He don't have nothing to say.
Man, I wouldn't want to be in his shoes. If he ever just come out and talk about it, man, I know the media will finally let it go, you know, and I feel for him. But I'm going to hammer him again today. Say, Leon, come out and talk to the media, man.
Do you sympathize with his situation?
Oh, definitely, because he could probably be in the Pro Bowl, and here he is coming here, and he's going to be filled with all these questions about that play and not about his talents. And to me, that's a shame.
8:59 a.m., 29 minutes into Media Day, and Leon Lett, after some coaxing by league officials, returns.
Leon, he's looking forward to this opportunity. It's kind of a chance to atone.
Why did you come back out?
Were you kind of dreading this day? It's this Media Day. It's a kind of Super Bowl week approach.
No, I didn't think it would be this bad. How much longer?
Have you always had such an inward personality? Most defensive linemen are kind of boisterous. It didn't affect it at all. Not the first day back, not the second day back.
When it happened, I felt that, well, because it happened, we wouldn't be here. And now that we're here, I'm in awe of all these people still talking about that. And I would think they would talk more about,
Go ahead, Gene.
You know, the game Sunday.
Well, you said if you see a fumble, you'll be picking up and running.
That's my job.
How do you eventually get rid of that?
I've pretty much gotten rid of it, Tom. Coming out here, it's all coming back to me very clearly.
9:20 a.m., 50 minutes after Media Day starts and 10 minutes before the rest of the Cowboys are scheduled to finish. Media Day ends for Leon Lett.
If Leon sacks Kelly, forces a fumble, recovers the ball, and carries it all the way to the end zone today, I suspect he'll be willing to talk about that. Robin?
He's really a good-natured guy for taking that. We'll check back with you later in the morning, Dick. Thanks a lot. As we continue this Sunday Sports Day, we'll move from football's best to one of the NBA's high flyers. Our Sunday conversation with Scottie Pippen later in the morning. And baseball is just around the corner. Lots of players signed on with teams this week, including the O's' Big Ben.
Sports Weekly is presented by Delta Airlines. You'll love the way we fly.
It is time for Face Off, our weekly war of words, wit, and wisdom. And the question we've been hearing all week is, who's going to win the Super Bowl? The boys or the Bills? Kelly or Aikman? Emmett or Thurman? That's the subject of our debate today. And Skip Bayless, despite his affection for his home city of Dallas, likes the Bills. And Mike Luplica, despite his affection for his adopted city of Buffalo, loves the Cowboys. Skip Bayless kicks off.
Mike, now, obviously, you don't have to convince me. Dallas is better than Buffalo, but what I don't think you understand is the Cowboys played their Super Bowl last week against San Francisco. Jimmy Johnson got them too high. They're coming into this thing very overconfident. I think they're going to come out a little flat against Buffalo. They do not take Buffalo very seriously. They've been in topless bars all week. I'll tell you what, the Buffalo Bills are going to steal this game 17-16 today. You watch.
All right, let me ask you something. What happens in the first quarter today when the Bills get hit and something goes wrong? And all the memories
they
of the
have
other...
to play a perfect game to win this.
Well, they're not going to play a perfect game against the Dallas Cowboys. Skip, who's got the best coach? Who's got the best quarterback? Who's got the best running back?
You're getting blinded by all that mystique.
Well, it's one of those mystique things in sports. I try to look at who has the better players.
Let's talk about who's going to be the best player on the field today. Jim Kelly. He's been on an in-control role through the playoffs. 64 passing attempts without an interception. He's healthy this year. He's going to guide that offense to do something to beat Dallas at its own game of ball control. You watch him control the football in the game today.
Skip, you're putting too much emphasis on Jimmy's prediction about the 49ers. They've already beaten a better team than the Bills last week.
He is insufferably arrogant, and it's rubbing off on his team, which is totally overconfident going into this game.
That arrogant stuff always hurt out.
Don't forget, Troy Aikman had a serious head injury last week, and one little shot, one routine shot, and he's going to be woozy today. Charles Haley is hurt, too.
If you're right, can you go home to Dallas?
Yes, I can. I'm just being objective.
And, Mike, if you're right, you're going to make that trip that you planned to Buffalo next week?
I'll be in a shopping mall there on Monday morning.
I believe that. Mitch Albom will cast a tie-breaking vote on the Sports Reporters coming up on the hour. He'll join Skip and Michael live from Atlanta to talk Bills and boys, Kerrigan and Harding.
Kerrigan and Harding?
Kerrigan and Harding. Robin, back to you.
Oh, Lupica does Buffalo. Can't wait for that. The big news out of Atlanta on Saturday was who will be enshrined in Canton, Ohio this summer. The Pro Football Hall of Fame will open its doors to 6 new members in July, including 2 former Dallas Cowboys, Tony Dorsett and Randy White, former teammates, with Dorsett leading the offense and White anchoring the Cowboys' doomsday defense. Also elected were Jimmy Johnson. No, not the Cowboys, Double J, the Niners star cornerback, Jimmy Johnson, Cleveland running back Leroy Kelly, tight end Jackie Smith, and former Minnesota head coach Bud Grant. The only sure bet you can count on for Super Bowl 28 that will keep you up to the minute on all that's happening with the game. In fact, we'll head back to Atlanta in just a moment. NBA fans have spoken. We'll show you who's headed to the upcoming All-Star game when we come back with the NBA Week in Review. Ready or not, baseball's spring training opens February 17th. And this week, teams are shoring up their lineups. Ben McDonald stays with Baltimore. Jim Abbott remains in pinstripes, and Bob Ojeda joins him in the Bronx. Hindu Dave Henderson heads to Kansas City. And the world champs hang on to Juan Guzman. Rob Dibble remains a Red. Ron Gant a Brave. Andy Bennis will tough it out with the Padres. And Sammy Sosa returns to Wrigley. The Dodgers hang on to right-hander Kevin Gross. In hockey, the Washington Caps fired Terry Murray as their head coach and replaced him with former NHLer and ESPN commentator Jim Schoenfeld. And Peyton Manning, the highly touted quarterback and son of Archie Manning, has decided to attend Tennessee. The NBA All-Star Game is only 2 weeks away. This year's game will take place at the Target Center, the home of the Minnesota Timberwolves. This week, the league named the 10 starters, and they headline the NBA Week in Review. Here's Chris Fowler.
No surprise in the middle. Shaquille O'Neal will start for the Eastern Conference. Shaq shot 17 for 20 and totaled 36 points Wednesday night against Charlotte. O'Neal's rival in the pivot, Alonzo Mourning, left with a bruised calf less than 3 minutes into the contest. Shaq was ably backed by Anthony Hardaway with 32 and Nick Anderson's 29. The Magic shot a club record 65% from the field. The Western Conference center, Hakeem Olajuwon. He tallied only 37 points in 2 games, but both were Rocket wins. Charles Barkley led all vote-getters with nearly 800,000 votes. No word on whether this wig was Charles' way of celebrating. Sean Kemp will team with Sir Charles. Kemp, too, is coming off a slow week. 27 points combined in a sonic split versus the Clippers and Nets. For the East, Derek Coleman gets the nod at 1 forward spot. D.C. was ejected from Thursday's game in Seattle with just 12 points. Scottie Pippen of the Red Hot Bulls joins Coleman up front. Chicago has won 9 of 11. One of the losses came in Cleveland Thursday, despite 31 from number 33. Pippen had 23 points and 9 assists in a 6-point Bulls win at Detroit Monday. Pippen's teammate, B.J. Armstrong, accumulated the most votes among the East Guards, but he was yet another member of the All-Star Off-Week Club, registering 31 points combined in 3 games. Armstrong's backcourt mate fared slightly better. Kenny Anderson had 20 points in Seattle, 21 in Portland. The Blazers' Clyde Drexler headed the list of Western guards. Drexler scored 5 points in the final minute 19 to cement Portland's 122-117 win over the Nets. Alongside Drexler, Mitch Richmond, who makes his first All-Star start. The Kings' leading scorer was held to 10 for 29 shooting this week by the Spurs and Rockets.
Your SB or your life?
Better than a gold medal.
That gets my heart pumping.
It's back, or should I say it's back. The ESPY, the second annual American Sports Awards, a celebration of the stars. February 28th at New York's Paramount Theater. And, backed by popular demand, you, the fans, will once again be voting for the year's most outstanding performances and plays. Today's category, most outrageous play of the year. Play 1, Jose Canseco with a heads-up play in the outfield.
Look at this! Boing! And it's out of here!
Play 2, Chris Webber calling for a TO at the most unfortunate of times.
Weber, front court, Carolina with foul. He takes the timeout. Technical foul.
Play 3, Leon Lett. Enough said.
Someone touches the football here. Watch what happens. It's Leon Lett. No!
Those are your nominees, so what are you waiting for? Pick up the phone and vote. Here's your chance to decide the most exciting moments of the year. Call 1-900-454-ESPY from your touch-tone phone. Each call will carry a 95-cent charge, but hey, it's a bargain. Children under 18 must have their parents' permission. A portion of the proceeds from the call will be donated to the V Foundation.
And its motto is, don't give up, don't ever give up.
When Sunday Sports Day continues, we'll discuss the legal issues surrounding Tanya Harding's right to keep her spot on the U.S. Olympic team. That and more when we come back.
Nobody serves you better than Loziers and Lennox. There's never been a better time to replace your old worn-out furnace.
Just can't seem to find those late scores in your Sunday paper from last night's college games? Look no further. Earlier, we discussed Tanya Harding's week, but there's much more to this ever-changing case. For one thing, alternate Michelle Kwan reportedly will travel to Lillehammer. Olympic rules prevent alternates from living in official athlete housing or practicing in Olympic venues, but because of the unusual circumstances, arrangements have been made for Kwan to be in Norway. But as Mark Schwartz explains, Harding does have legal recourse if she is removed from the team.
Tanya Harding is protected by due process, which would include the right to a hearing before the U.S. Figure Skating Association to determine if there is reasonable cause to prohibit her from competing. If that doesn't go her way, she is then entitled to a hearing before an independent arbitrator within 48 hours. She could then request that a judge issue an injunction, setting aside the arbitrator's verdict.
There are two important interests that are in tension here and have to be balanced off. The general integrity and reputation, image of the game, and the interest of the individual.
The dilemma is that even if Harding is charged, there will be no final determination of her guilt by a judge or a jury until after the Olympics.
She should be given the benefit of the presumption of innocence. She should not be disqualified from competing unless and until she's convicted, and certainly not if she's not even charged.
Yet the Olympic Committee need not prove Harding guilty beyond a reasonable doubt in order to deny her eligibility. The burden of proof is not as great as it would be in a criminal matter.
This isn't a criminal proceeding. We're talking here about the privilege to participate in a sporting event.
But fear of litigation forces amateur sports authorities to proceed with extreme caution before they bar athletes from competing. In 1991, world-class runner Butch Reynolds sued track and field's governing body, in part for failing to give him a hearing before suspending him for a positive steroids test, later found to be a mistake. Reynolds won a $27.3 million judgment. And if Harding is denied her once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, her attorneys are likely to go to court, as Reynolds did.
It cost me millions. But right now, I feel that Butch Reynolds' name and reputation is restored. That's what's important.
Olympic athletes are bound by a code of ethics outlined in the USOC Charter. The interpretation of that code will help decide Harding's status in light of her recent confession.
I learned that some persons that were close to me may have been involved in the assault.
This is an association which is run for people who skate, for people who are interested in skating, and we work within the framework of our own ethical rules.
So far, Harding is guilty only of bad judgment. Other athletes have found themselves in serious trouble with the law and then been allowed to compete. Recently, shot putter Jim Doring competed in the '92 games as a convicted felon after the USOC determined it had no provision prohibiting an athlete with a criminal record from going to the Olympics. Diver Bruce Kimball competed in the '88 Olympic trials 2 weeks after he killed 2 teenagers while driving drunk. Kimball did not qualify for the Olympic team and later pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 17 years in jail.
If she was involved in this attack, not only is it criminal, but it's a criminal attack on somebody who's a competitor and would be a member of a team. And clearly, that would be grounds for denying her eligibility.
And in the eyes of the Olympic Committee, any violation of the standard of sportsmanship may weigh more heavily than a violation of the standard of justice. In Portland, I'm Mark Schwartz, ESPN.
Stay tuned, everyone. That story is a long way from being over. You're looking live at Atlanta, Georgia, the headquarters for the NFL for Super Bowl 28. We'll head back there for more on the game, so stay with us, everyone.
Do you know what's going to happen today if the Buffalo Bills lose the Super Bowl again? Bad things, man. The battle between Aikman and Kelly is just too predictable for a lot of fans. They'd prefer to see a matchup with a bit more bite to it, like maybe one between Harding and Kerrigan. On second thought, that might prove to be too brutal even for Bills fans. They want to win fair and square, and that means getting enough TDs to make Jerry's head spin around. But most of all, they want Coach Levy to finally go home with something cherished dearly by Jimmy Johnson. His scalp.
Oh, that wacky Englehart. Oh, look at the time. We are creeping toward the kickoff of Super Bowl 28. Dick Schaap keeping an eye on things for us there in Atlanta. What's going on, Dick?
Well, Robin, there are so many defensive players here in the lobby that I don't want to take a chance. I'm going to pass the ball, hand the ball off right away to Andrea Kramer, who is at the Georgia Dome.
Thanks very much, Dick. All's quiet at the Dome so far, except for the grounds crew putting the finishing touches on the turf. Speaking of finishing touches, the Bills head into their final team meeting in about 15 minutes. Marv Levy has been very businesslike this week, although he's made some subtle changes in terms of preparing his team. He kept the Bills at the same hotel, unlike the previous 3 years and unlike the Cowboys, who moved to an undisclosed location last night. As for Dallas, yes, defensive end Charles Haley is expected to start, but the team is taking a wait-and-see position as to how his back feels when he wakes up this morning. And finally, the Georgia State flag is flying outside the Dome at both ends of the stadium. This has been a very touchy subject all week, since African Americans find this flag extremely offensive to them. I'll have more on this controversy and a planned protest when I join up with Boomer and the gang later in game day. Dick, back to you.
Thank you, Andrea. I'm with Craig James. And Craig, it's almost 8 hours till the kickoff in the Super Bowl, and it's 8 years since you played in the Super Bowl with the New England Patriots. What do you do on the day of the game? What do you, I mean, you got so much time to fill.
One thing you want to do for sure, Dick, is you want to have a chance to sleep as late as possible before you wake up to go down for your pregame meal. Then you get down, have your meal, you get into your pregame routines, go over to the stadium around 3:30. But the one thing the Cowboys and Bills have going for them, this is a very anxious day for them, is that both teams have played night games this season. They both played in a World Championship game, so they all know what to expect. So hopefully that will help them to stay a little bit relaxed.
You do have meetings during the day?
Well, what you do is you really want to try to stay away from all those coaches. They're coaches on everybody's staff where they get nervous, they want to come back and talk to you one more time. Usually you have all your preparation in plans and ready to go so that you don't have to talk on game day about a coach's plans.
What do the guys watch on television? They stay away from Meet the Press, I presume, because they're probably talking about the Super Bowl.
Some of these guys, they watch things that they shouldn't be watching, that's for sure. But other guys just get up. Some of them like to watch cartoons. Some of them like to watch good movies. It's one of those that you do anything you can to keep the game off your mind, because when it does get time to walk on the field, there's a lot of tension.
Well, I remember Super Bowl I, the night before, my friend Max McGee of the Green Bay Packers snuck out of his room after curfew and returned the next morning just as Bart Starr was going to church. Could that happen today?
Not a chance. You and I'd find them walking around here. They'd be the next day, the headlines of the newspapers and all the media potential. So, I mean, there's no way that could happen anymore.
Okay, I'm glad they got their sleep last night. Craig, thanks very much. And back to Robin.
All right, Dick, we'll see you live on the Sports Reporters in just a few minutes. The Chicago Bulls are proving there is life after Michael. And one of the big reasons for their continued success is all-star Scottie Pippen, who recently had an encounter with Chicago police, something Pippen discusses in our Sunday conversation.
It's not fair for me to have a gun. I mean, there's a lot of people have guns, but only a very few can get caught. And I just happen to be the one that got caught. And I don't want to tell any young kid that he should carry a gun.
Recently, Jim Holland made the longest ski jump in history. He stayed in the air for 30 minutes and flew the equivalent of 36 miles. This incredible jump took place in a wind tunnel, and it was all part of an off-season training program for the U.S. ski team made possible by Visa and its card holders. Visa, the only card that helps train these athletes and the only card accepted at the '94 Winter Olympics, where Jim Holland hopes to make the second longest ski jump in history. In business, there never seems to be enough of it. And the last thing you can afford to do is run out of it. Time. So rest assured, Delta Airlines will help you make the most of it. With over 4,900 flights a day to over 300 cities around the world. And best of all, we'll make sure you arrive relaxed and refreshed with plenty of time to spare. Delta Airlines.
The world's top golfers take to the links for one of the premier events of the PGA Tour. Visit the Valley of the Sun for the Phoenix Open. Final round today, only on ESPN.
Sports Weekly is presented by Delta Airlines. You'll love the way we fly.
Many thought the end of Michael Jordan's playing days with the Chicago Bulls also meant the end of the Bulls. And while it did appear that could be the case very early in the season, the Bulls have since rallied and are now one game ahead of last year's pace. A major reason why is the play of Scottie Pippen. With Jordan gone, he has stepped up his game, averaging more points and more rebounds an outing. But there's much more to Pippen than just these stats, as Pam Oliver discovered when she sat down with Pippen for our Sunday conversation.
I am a player without Michael. A lot of people have said that I can't do this, I can't do that without having Michael out on the court. Well, I feel like I've proven that already because we're playing well as a team and I'm having success. And my stats are pretty much the same.
Will you ever be out of his shadow?
I think I'm out of his shadow. I think with him leaving the game allowed me the opportunity to step into his shoes.
Big shoes to fill.
I don't want to fill them. I can't fill them.
You've spoken out about this issue. Do you think management should or ought to be doing more to improve the personnel?
If we are going to win another championship, I think our personnel definitely got to get better. I mean, you can look at how our record is and say, well, they're the same as they were a year ago, but look at our road record.
Exactly.
And that's the difference. That's where championship teams win.
What happened the night you were arrested?
I think looking at what has happened to a lot of people in the sports world, Larry Stewart and Nancy Kerrigan, it was poor judgment on my part, and it's something that I regret. And, I didn't want to really get any bad publicity throughout my career. That's something that I've always tried to avoid, and it's a situation that, you know, I just regret, and I apologize to my fans and my family and my friends.
A lot of people are saying this creates a situation where, you know, every 5-year-old in the country now is going to run around saying, well, if Scottie Pippen can have a gun, I should have a gun. Is that fair?
No, it's not fair. It's not fair for me to have a gun. I mean, it's a lot of people have guns, but only a very few can get caught. And I just happen to be the one that got caught. And I don't want to tell any young kid that he should carry a gun. And I don't think that it's good to carry a gun, because you may be put in that situation to ask yourself whether to use it or not. The stories that I've heard about what happened, totally untrue.
What's the most untrue story you've heard?
That I had a gun laying in my seat in my truck. Also, the gun was sitting on the dashboard.
Was there any confrontation or any, you know, major discussions between you and the police officers, or was there some type of tension or friction there?
I think a little friction got started because maybe I was rushing him, but I didn't think I was. I wanted him to make a judgment of what he was going to do, because he was pretty much sitting there trying to embarrass me, humiliate me in front of my family.
Storming into the front court. Here's Armstrong in left back to Pippen. A goal in his face!
On to other matters. What's your motivation at this point in your career?
I would like to see this team win another championship. And I think that would motivate me more than anything. And probably even win 3 consecutive ones in a row, because everybody doubted us so much. And it's always to, I guess, give people a slap in the face for putting you down.
Armstrong. Alley-oop Pippen. Sensational.
You really say, like, we as a team, not that I or me.
I don't want to be considered Scottie Pippen and the Chicago Bulls. I mean, I'm one of the Bulls, and whatever we do, I mean, we do it as a team. I am a player without Michael. I am a player without Michael.
And Scottie Pippen and the Chicago Bulls are just a half game behind Atlanta in the Central Division. They have the best home record in the league at 18-2. Keep in mind, I'll be back in 30 minutes with the Sunday morning edition of SportsCenter. We'll again go live to Atlanta, Georgia, and check in with Chris Berman for the very latest. That and a great deal more at 11:30 on SportsCenter, right after Dick Schaap and the Sports Reporters, which is coming up next as Sunday Sports Day.